Good morning. Good morning. It is the first Sunday of the month, so it is Mission Sunday. And so I'll introduce you to our missionary for today. You aren't stuck with me, but I will open us with Psalm 49. To the chief musician, a psalm of the sons of Korah. Hear this, all peoples. Give ear, all inhabitants of the world, both low and high, rich and poor together. My mouth shall speak wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall give understanding. I will incline my ear to a proverb. I will disclose my dark saying on the harp. Why should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity at my heels surrounds me? Those who trust in their wealth and boast in the multitude of their riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him. For the redemption of their souls is costly, and it shall never cease forever, that he should continue to live eternally and not see the pit. For he sees wise men die. Likewise the fool and the senseless person perish, and leave their wealth to others. Their inner thought is that their houses will last forever, their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Nevertheless, man, though in honor, does not remain. He is like the beasts that perish. This is the way of those who are foolish, and of their posterity who approve their sayings. Selah. Like sheep, they are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them. The upright shall have dominion over them in the morning, and their beauty shall be consumed in the grave, far from their dwelling. But God will redeem my soul from the power of the grave, for he shall receive me. Selah. Do not be afraid when one becomes rich, when the glory of his house is increased. For when he dies, he shall carry nothing away. His glory shall not descend after him. Though while he lives, he blesses himself. For men will praise you when you do well for yourself. He shall go to the generation of his fathers. They shall never see light. A man who is in honor, yet does not understand, is like the beasts that perish. Are we not seeing that today? Thank God for his word and for hope in Jesus. Let me just reacquaint you with my friend Amy. We met in Iowa. We were discussing probably 20 years ago now. I don't know how that's possible. I'm not that old. Nor is she. Wait till you see her. We were 10, yes. Amy and I have an arranged friendship. Our friend Beth, who our church also supports, serves in the Czech Republic, and Amy had served in France, I had served in Southeast Asia, and Beth had served in the Czech Republic, and we were all wrestling with, what is this call of God? Are we to go back and serve longer? Is this what God is asking of us? And wrestling through that, and through mutual parents, Beth's parents actually, we all got to know each other, and it's been a beautiful arranged friendship for a long, long time. And so she's come to update us on her ministry in France, what's happened, what's coming next, and how we can be a part of that with her. I know you'll be blessed for hearing and have some questions, so she'll be here today to connect with you in whatever way possible. But Amy, please come share what's happening in that side of the world.
Thanks, Joe. Okay. Got some toys right here. Okay. Hopefully, sound-wise, that's okay. Good morning. It is such a pleasure to be here with you all. I finally was able to locate the date the last time I was here, which was November of 2023. So some of your faces do look familiar. Some of you new faces, but really thankful to be here, and it's been a blessing. So without further ado, I'd like to just introduce myself. So my name is Amy Mish, and I come from Iowa, as Jody said. So this weather is nothing for me. This is great, just so you know. So from the Midwest, I'm not going to go into deep like my story, but the Lord has done a miraculous work in my life, and I am forever grateful for that. And as I look back at my life, I can see His hand upon it, leading me, guiding me, protecting me, allowing me to make mistakes, unfortunately, but with His grace, I have been saved, and He gave me very early on a call to go international, and I didn't know what that meant. But through the French language has led me to France, and that is where I have been planted for a long time. Just a few pictures. This picture here, that's with my beloved nieces and nephews in Iowa. That was this past Christmas. So I have 3 nieces and 2 nephews. The oldest is 21. He is a sophomore in university studying accounting. The youngest is in the front, Piper. She's about to be 8 years old, and Kelsey is 15. Malaya is about to be 12, and Brennan's about to be 13. And I love them so much. I know Jody can relate to this. I don't have children of my own, but man, I have a lot of children in the world, and the sons I've worked for a youth ministry for a very long time, but they are very precious to me, and I love when I get to come back and spend time with them. The other pictures are with some of our university students, now young adults in Belgium, who are serving with the Ministry of Young Life. And then on the far right, 2 precious French young adults that I love very much, one of whom I've known since she was in middle school, and it's been a joy to watch her grow into a godly young woman, serving the Lord, working hard. The other, Thomas, is a university student, and he is just on fire for the Lord, just a bundle of joy, literally bouncing with joy. It's very unique for the French culture. So that's just a glimpse, a bit of my life, and I will dive into what Young Life is. So Young Life is a youth ministry. You may or may not know of it. It's actually started in the U.S., started in Texas, of all places, in the 40s, and now it's in over 100 countries. And it's just a way to reach young people. It's, for me, a very biblical model of how to go out into the world of youth and share who Jesus is. The mission is very simple, introducing adolescents to Jesus Christ and helping them grow in their faith. And how do we accomplish that? We pray for kids. We try to go to where they are, which is probably our biggest challenge of how do you meet them. We try to earn the right to be heard, so it's very relational. And we try to find moments to share the gospel with them. And one of my favorites is we love them regardless of their response to the gospel, which means that they're not projects to us. We don't just toss them to the side, but we try to, as the Lord allows, to continue to invest in them and love them. But our hope is to make disciples. So hopefully you can see those stars. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. You can ask me about this later, but the history of Young Life in France is actually very long and complex and goes back to the 1950s. But we are now an independent organization in France, and we are a baby organization. We're almost 2 years old, so we have been established as Young Life France since February of 2024. But like I said, we have a long history, and I won't go into all those details, but it's a new adventure that we are on. Currently, we have ministry in Lyon. So Lyon, you might be more familiar with that city in France. You can see it's the star, the red star that's up there. And then Grenoble, which is where I've lived for the past 12 years. So Grenoble is called the capital of the Alps, and I had the privilege of going there by myself to just try to figure out how to start ministry, and the Lord provided in great ways. And now there's more people serving and working in a beautiful team in both of those locations. And we hope to start ministry in several key cities. I'll just say this, not for our glory. I think it can be really hard when we talk about, oh, we'd like to do this and that. But really the heart is that we know there are lost kids throughout that country. And so we have just prayerfully identified key cities, and we'll see what the Lord does. But most specifically, Paris is on our radar. So that's kind of the big thing. And what's really exciting is the Lord has seemed to orchestrate it all. This is not even my doing. I can't take any credit for it. But let me just share quickly what it means to do ministry in France. Because when I felt called to global missions, I thought I needed to go to a third world country. I thought ministry was to those who are living in poverty, which that is really important. And I know that there are needs. And the Lord had to do a great work in my heart and my mind to understand that there was a big need in France, specifically a spiritual poverty that exists. And so there's very strong secularism in France, you may or may not know, to the point where religion does not exist in government buildings and in public schools. And so therefore, working with youth, it's very hard for us to figure out how to get into their world, which most of their world is at school. And so that is one challenge that we have. As I said, how do we go out into the world of kids? There's a lot of skepticism about Christianity in France, specifically for Protestants and evangelicals. There was an unfortunate documentary that came out in the fall that really painted, in a very negative way, evangelicals. And so a lot of people think it's a cult. And so there's just so much skepticism. And because of other religions in France, too, we are struggling with how that's impacting everyone else as far as how we have to go about doing things, from accounting to just even declaring different things. So it's very complex. So the laws and limitations regarding working with youth, you don't even want to know what it looks like to try to do a youth camp in France. It's very complex, but we manage and we're navigating that. And then finding places to have activities. And you might not know this, but churches really struggle to find buildings in France. I know numerous churches in various cities throughout the country that have been denied to rent a place and have been denied to buy a place. They have the funding and they just get denied. And so it's a real ongoing problem. And so then for an organization like Young Life, we don't have the means and we're not really interested in buying a property. So we rely on churches and other organizations who have spaces that we can borrow and utilize. And so it then affects us because we're really limited as to where we can meet. But there is hope. The Lord is doing great things. And so let me just share this verse. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Romans 15:13. Just this reminder that we can sometimes focus very much on the hardships and begin to maybe feel sorry for ourselves or just kind of fall into the pit of despair. But no, there is hope. And we are trusting that if we're walking with the Lord, he will make a way. And that's what we are fighting for. And needing people like you to really be praying and standing with us because do we need it? So let me just share a story with you. So I just want to share, I believe that salvation is a miracle, that it comes from the Lord. It is not us. We have a role that we get to play. We get to plant seeds and get to be on our knees praying for people, but that actual transformation comes from the Lord. So let me just share this verse from Mark. The disciples were even more amazed and said to each other, "Who then can be saved?" Jesus looked at them and said, "With man, this is impossible, but not with God. All things are possible with God." And as we look at some of the youth that we deal with, and maybe people that you know, and you think, wow, who is that person that you feel like, man, it will take a miracle for that person to come to know the Lord? And that's what we are challenged to do. May we not ignore or forget that kid because we're like, that kid's hopeless. They'll never. No, even more should we be praying for that person, that kid, and that the Lord can do a miracle and he'll get even more glory for it, because if it seems like that kid would never, ever come to faith, well, praise God, because he's the one who can make that happen. He can change the life of that young person. I've changed the name of this young person just because he is a youth. I'm going to call him Alex. So I will point him out. This was a camp picture from a couple summers ago. He's the one sitting in the chair with the crutches. He tends to always get hurt. But we have known Alex for several years. He grew up in Mexico, but he's French. He's 100% French. So he actually is fully trilingual in Spanish, French, and English. Going to French school now, adjusting to living in France after living most of his life in Mexico. He started showing up to our events. His mom thought it was a good thing. That's also like, hey, something fun for my kid to do. It's a safe place. They were open to the fact that we were going to talk about Christian faith, about Jesus. But he never took a step. Like, he wasn't interested in, well, this is interesting, it's fine, but it's not really for me. But he kept inviting friends. So fast forward, after a couple of years, me and some of the other staff and leaders were like, man, if Alex comes to a place where he trusts in the Lord, we just see leadership in him, and he's already inviting people. We just think the Lord could really use him. So at this camp, I mean, the kid had done several camps, also had gotten very injured at other camps, but he was always preserved. And at the end of camp, we have a time that we call the say so, and it comes from let the redeemed of the Lord say so. If a youth wants to stand up and say, hey, I have taken a step to personally follow Jesus, or I didn't believe that there was a God, and now I think maybe there is a God. It could just be whatever they want to say. He just stood up and he said, I want to walk with Jesus. And so, yeah, I was not there for that moment because I was actually sitting in the dining room floor with a Ukrainian young woman who was having a panic attack. So we'd had a camp where we called it, I won't say the name of it, but there had been a lot of vomiting, a lot of sickness, like 17 people, and took somebody to the hospital. So the end of that camp was hard, and so this was a victory after dealing with that. So if any of you have ever worked with youth or done youth camps, those are the kinds of things that you deal with, but you do it with joy because the Lord has called you to, and you're doing it for not ourselves, but for these youth and for the glory of the Lord. But we celebrate this young person who is now being discipled by one of our leaders, and I was able to sit next to him on the way home after this camp, and I'm like, Alex, tell me more about this. He's like, well, it's been like a little drops in a bucket, and finally, just to this point of like, yeah, I want to follow Jesus, and I want to start reading the Bible, and I want to start growing in my faith. And he is, and he's showing up. Pray for him though. He is a junior in high school, so he's still young, and it's hard. It's hard to be a Christian in France, and he doesn't have a family environment that is fostering his growth. But he does have leaders and people who are pouring into him. But just pray that the Lord would preserve him, would draw him closer to himself. So if you would pray for Alex. So I mentioned Paris. So exciting news. We have seen the Lord open up amazing doors to start ministry in Paris. And after 12 years living in Grenoble, I'm planning on moving to Paris, which is very exciting. I lived there for a few years at the start of my serving with Young Life. So it's going to be a big shift, but I'm very excited. This was a team that at a church in Paris where we're going to informally partner with them. And we were there in May with some of our staff and some of the church staff, and we're presenting kind of the heart of the ministry of Young Life. So it's very exciting. And we're trying to figure out who are the people who are going to be involved. And so we've identified a couple who, it's a French-British couple, and we're praying that the Lord would make it clear if they are the people to come help us get ministry started in Paris. So I was there in September and just meeting people. And I tell you what, it's like people are falling out of the sky. I keep meeting people left and right. They're like, I know so-and-so in Paris. I know this person in Paris. There's some really interesting connections. So these are some prayer requests. If you'd like to take a picture of this to remind you to be praying for these things, please just pray as we are seeking the Lord about starting ministry in Paris. It's a huge city, and there are many, many opportunities there. I don't take that for granted, and I want to be very wise with how we go about it and approach it. Please pray as I am going to begin the process of moving to Paris, which includes just figuring out the timing, which I'm hoping in the next 4 to 6 months. That's just to give you a timeline. The housing, it's very complex and complicated to find housing in Paris, and the funding, and I'll explain a little bit more about that. Pray that the Lord would raise up more workers in France, whether it be people who are working for the ministry, volunteering, that people would want to partake so that more youth can be reached, that there would be more depth and more, a broader spectrum that we could reach in France. And please pray for the ongoing administrative and legal tasks for Young Life France. I won't go into those details, but let me just tell you, opening a bank account is not a piece of cake there. It took us over a year, and even now it's still a little complicated, and there are many, many other things that we just want to make sure that we're doing everything above board, that we're being transparent, and just that the Lord would guide us in all of that. So let me share about the financial needs. So I have been working with Young Life for 18 years, been involved for 20 years. You can try to guess my age. And the Lord has been so gracious to me, so gracious, and has provided in so many ways, and has sustained me, and I'm very grateful. So this number that you see might seem like a lot. That is not my entire budget. So my budget would consist of how much Young Life is paying me, how much they might help me to supplement housing. I travel a lot because I get to support, develop, equip our staff and our volunteers. So my budget consists of many things. I can tell you more if you'd like to know. But right now there's a gap. There's a gap for me to be able to get to Paris. And two big things are linked with that gap. One is going to be the housing increase. Currently, Grenoble is quite reasonable for living, for the cost of living. My rent will double minimum and triple probably maximum. So that amount alone, I need to make sure that I don't just move to Paris kind of like, oh, okay, it's going to be okay. Just to say, okay, Lord, I need a place to live, nothing extravagant, but a place where I can welcome people. And I don't know if you've seen Paris Apartments, but just trying to, find a place that's reasonable within the location that we're hoping to start ministry, because I really want to live right there. I want to be very close in the community where we're trying to develop ministry. So that is one thing. The second thing is I have lived in France so long now that I am now paying into the social tax system. As of officially, it's been a long process. We've been trying to do it for a while, but in November I started. It is very expensive. In France, social taxes includes the healthcare. It's many things. So it is about double of what I'm paying for my U.S. social taxes plus my health benefits that I've had here, which I will give that up soon. But that is adding on an extra. Once I stop paying in the U.S., it'll be an extra $1,500 to $2,000 a month just for that. And so it is not free. We are an independent organization, and so all of a sudden it's like, who's going to pay that social tax? And so we're navigating this. We're trying to figure out how to do it. So there's two of us who are American who are switching fully in. So that is why, that's a big reason why there's this big gap, just to help you understand. And so I've just given a breakdown. So 4,000, it's supposed to be 4,500. Sorry for that. Not $4.50. So $4,500 a month is what that breaks down to. And as somebody who works in ministry, I have seen the Lord provide in so many ways, but something that's really helpful is the ongoing support, whether that be monthly, quarterly, or annually. But anything obviously helps. But this is an example of what that would look like. If 5 people were to give $200 a month, if 15 people could give $100 a month, 25 at 50, 30 people at 25, and then that adds up. And what that shows is the beauty of the kingdom and what people are able to give. I have some donors who give $10 a month, and I have some donors who give, $200 a month. So there's a spectrum, but if we all give what we can give, not under compulsion, with joy, though I pray for cheerful givers that the Lord would lay on people's hearts to give, then I can achieve that $4,500 a month. So that's just to show you, and if you would feel compelled to give in any way, shape, or form, I will share this QR code. If you would like to scan it, will lead you to a very short Google form that just allows me to connect with you. It would allow me to start sending you my email updates, prayer updates, and if you are interested in financial support, there is that. Near Jody, there are some cards, just so that you know. There's this connection card that has the same QR code. You can also fill out the back. I'm just going to say give it to Jody if you prefer to not scan a QR code and you want to fill it out. And you could give it to me today, or if later you want to give it to Jody, because I leave here tomorrow. So that's a connection card. And then just a prayer card if you put things on your fridge and you want to be reminded to pray. There's a little information about me on the back. And also for giving, it's a QR code. But just so you know, there are different ways to give, and I can answer any questions. But I just want to thank you and also just invite you. I'm looking for people to partner, to not just financially, but in prayer, and to stand with us, because being on the field and working with these youth in a dark place like France and in Western Europe, it's really challenging, and there's a lot of work to be done. And so if you feel led to partner with us, like I said, not necessarily financially, but even in prayer, I would welcome that very much. So thank you so much. May God bless you. I love what's happening here at Superior Word, and I'm very privileged. I feel very privileged to be here for a second time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.